morning. So we will formally introduce the course through this lecture. So as you know, the title is Design and Optimization of Energy System. Now I will just give you a broad overview of the what design and optimization are all about, and then the next class we will formally start with design of workable system, system simulation and so on. Okay, if you look at the concise Oxford dictionary, which is called COD, right? The concise Oxford dictionary is a very important reference material in the sense that if there is any dispute in the court of law, the lawyers and the judges will always refer to the concise Oxford dictionary for a final say on the matter. Okay, so if you look at the concise Oxford dictionary, for the definition of engineering, it says the application of science to the design, building and use of machines, constructions, etc. So very jocularly you can say that it is application of science to make us more and more lazy, right? Okay, we didn't want to go to the theater, we wanted to see the movies at homes or television, then when we didn't even want to get up from our seats, so we invented the TV is already there, remote and so on. So we wanted to have the comfort of a standard temperature and humidity throughout the year, so we figured out and we invented the, now we don't even want to change the temperature, so we invented the remote for the air conditioner and so on. So we can say that engineering, sometimes we can say it exploits the human weakness, I mean the clamor for more and more comfort, but the positive connotation is whatever you figure out, the new things you figure out in science, you apply it to the design, building and use of machines, constructions and so on. Engineering originates from the medieval Latin word ingenieur. Unfortunately it does not originate from the word engine, though as mechanical engineers we would have very much loved to declare that engineering came from engine. It does not come from engine, it comes from engineer, which means contrive or come up with something, and it is not from the word engine. If you look at the various activities which are concerned, which are all part of engineering, some of them are analysis, design, fabrication, sales, marketing, R&D and so on. So all these are essentially considered as part of engineering, but we emphasize on system design in this course. Okay, so we are going to emphasize on system design, as I already told you in the last class. So system is a collection of components, so there should be at least 2 components which constitute a system, just like a cycle, a thermodynamic cycle should consist of at least 2 processes, right? So you go from 1 to 2 and come back from 2 to 1. So system by definition is a collection of components with interrelated performance. But even this definition needs to be fleshed out, or it needs to be straightened out, because a large system like a thermal power plant is made up of several subsystems. So you can immediately recognize that the modeling, simulation and optimization of a very large system like a thermal power plant will be exceedingly complex. Okay, so suppose I want to do an optimization of a power plant, are there some ways of doing it? I hope you got the question. So I am saying that a thermal power plant is exceedingly complex. A thermal power plant is itself made up of several subsystems. So if I enlist all the variables which are involved in the thermal power plant and find out the mathematical relations connecting all this, I will die. Okay, we want to optimize the power plant. What are the options?
Take the variables for each subsystem.
Take the variable for each subsystem and do what? And optimize the subsystem under the belief that
They are independent of each other. Overall optimization.
Under the belief that if you optimize the individual subsystems, the overall system will lead to a overall optimum, but that again is questionable. But just because that is questionable, we cannot be an armchair critic and say that this is not the right way to optimize and not optimize at all. Okay, at least dividing it to subsystems, and if one group is not capable of optimizing each of the subsystems, if it is an alternator generator, you give to the electrical systems group. If it is a boiler and heat exchanger, give it to the heat transfer group. Okay, then if it is concerning the ash handling, coal handling, you give it to mechanical handling, machine design people. So each of these people will come out with modeling, simulation, whatever optimization of each of these subsystems, and we integrate all this, we hope to get a overall optimum for the thermal power plant. So optimization of thermal plant is not what we are going to do in this course, because that will take 6 months, that will be like a BTP or an MTP or whatever. Okay. So but you must realize that it is possible to break down into subsystems, and each of the subsystems you can have a finite number of variables, so that the problem is tractable, or as we say, the problem is handleable, it can be handled, right. Furthermore, we shall progressively focus and restrict our attention to energy systems or thermal systems, okay, because the course is called as design and optimization of energy systems. Now if you look at designing and fabricating systems has been developed for ages, right. So there is ample proof, when you go around there is ample proof that people have been designing and fabricating. The existence of bridges, highways, automobiles, airplanes, satellites, supercomputers, data centers, or what have you, all these things, when you look around, I mean, they are ample proof that people have been designing and fabricating systems for ages. Okay, so what is a big deal? Why are we talking about it? But if you see, the evolution of these systems has taken a lot of time. For example, the steam engine is only 200 years old. The steam engine is only 200 years old, but civilization has been there for how long? Some take a guess. Some millions of years. Now sometimes you look back, okay, in retrospect, you feel very ashamed. It has taken such a long time. It has taken such a long time to come up with a steam turbine. It has taken such a long time to come out with a jet plane and all that. But in prospect, we are happy that at least they are there now. Okay, so it's always like that. Even when you start learning something, the progress will always be non-linear. Are you getting the point? If you are solving a very complicated problem for your research or your project or whatever, the first part is you will have to learn. For example, you are modeling something in ANSYS or CFX or Fluent. Now if you report, if I am your advisor, at the end of 10 days I ask you, what is your progress, what is your progress, what is your progress. So if you draw a curve of progress for this time, it will be 0 for a long time, assuming that you are working and you are still learning. Then suddenly there will be a non-linear part. That is where you have conquered all these things. You have figured out how to give boundary conditions, you have figured out how to give the properties, you have figured out how to do the solid model or gambit, and then you will start getting wrong answers. That is good. Getting wrong answers is better than not getting answers at all. Then you will put fight, you will cry, you will talk to your friends, you will talk to your guide. Sometimes guide is not available, but when he is available, and then you sit down and talk, and then you will figure out, change this, change that, and finally you get your results and go to Raja Xerox, take a printout, bind it, okay, bind it up, and then show yourselves, appear before a committee, and then land up on July 31st, wear your gown and get out. I mean, that's a way science and technology progresses in IIT. Okay. So to cut a long story short, the long and short of it is, it has taken a long time for systems to evolve, but you are happy that at least we have these systems. And now by looking at all this, the lead time taken for improvements, because there is an accumulated knowledge of so many generations. Now we should not take that long a time to come out with new developments, of course. So we should try to take on problems which are more and more challenging. Don't be too happy or don't be too upset. Either the course is going like this. From the next class onwards, we will start solving problems, right? So there is no other way of teaching this. So I thought, instead of writing all these on a board, I will come up with a PPT. I am going to open electronic access to this course. I told you moodle.iitm.ac.in. I promise that I will do it in 2 days. I have not done it, but after the class I will immediately do it. I will host this immediately on this. Tomorrow you can see this, right? You do not have to copy this, right? But now if you see, most of the systems are not working at optimum conditions. We do not know whether the pump, right, in your homes, whether you live in an apartment or a bungalow or whatever, whether did we ever try to figure out whether it is optimum? Is it the best pump? Why are we not able to optimize that? Yeah, some reason should be there, no? The electric motor and pump arrangement in your apartment or in your bungalow, why is it not up? Why have you not thought about it? Yeah, please go ahead.
Only specific.
You will also come on in, Peter.
Only specific motors available.
See, we are free to, you are free to write any partial differential equation or ordinary differential, whatever you want to solve, and then you say that the optimum design is 1.3464 kilowatt or something. You go to Velicheri and say, I want a pump for 1.364. He will say get lost, because they are making only in standard sizes. So you will round it off to the nearest this thing, to the nearest size, point number 1, and always we are always not confident. We are never confident with our designs, right? Generally, okay. So therefore we will choose we will go for the next higher, we will go for the next higher one, okay. When it comes to why we are not, one example, okay, to prove that we are not confident is this physics lab and chemistry lab in your schools, right? You submit records, right? You used to submit records. The teacher, you submit in the beginning or the end? Beginning. Or that in the biology lab and all that, the teacher sits, okay. The records are stacked up. So where will you submit your record? Huh? Who is the hero who would do that? We will always like to do this, right? And if possible, okay. So the erstwhile goal was basically, okay, let it work, man. Okay, it should not break, it should work. Okay, optimum and all that, optimization is not for us. That was the original goal. But now, because of competition, and there are several competing designs, there are several competing models which will do the same job and so on. Okay, so the original British idea of something which is what we call as over engineered, okay, something is everything is big size, we call it as a conservative design, which is no longer okay, because the costs have gone up and we want to cut down cost, we want to rationalize the cost so that we get an optimum performance. So the erstwhile goal was to design, fabricate and use a system regardless of whether it was the best one. Improved systems were designed only after break even was achieved in many cases. Break even is, that is, whatever initial investment you had put in, you were able to recover that. Optimization was considered as a costly add-on. Many people did not want to invest the time and effort required for optimizing a system. Now from what I have discussed thus far, it is clear that the key point is there are several ways of accomplishing the same task, okay. That is one of the important things. It is you have a choice of various designs. It is different from your solution to an integral or find out an integral where you think that everybody should get the same answer, but design is not like that. So I have been instructed, okay. So what was I saying? No, I still am not able to get back.
Many ways of accomplishing that.
There are many ways, there are many ways of accomplishing the same task, okay, and we will have to pick and choose which is the best one for us. Again, some are better than others. I put better in quotes because what is better or not has to be decided by you. You have to tell, just like I told you in the last class, whether it is the specific fuel consumption or brake thermal efficiency for an engine, or cost of a ventilation system, whatever. So you have to decide on what the objective function is, and accordingly you go ahead and optimize that. So suppose we want to join sheets of paper, there are several ways of doing this. You can use a stapler, you can use belt clip, or simply binding the sheets, or some other ways, okay. So there are even a silly thing like I want to join sheets of paper, there are several ways of accomplishing the same task. So first of all, there is a choice available to you. Secondly, the design of complex systems requires large calculations, often repetitively, for various combinations of the design variables. Suppose we want, let us take this desktop. We want to arrange all the components of the desktop so that we get optimal cooling. okay. But it is not like you have choice, but it is not like you have infinite choice, because there are certain positions will be fixed, right. You do not have much leeway, but there are certain things where you still have some freedom to play around with the variables. Now then you have a choice where you want to put the slits and so on, where you want to put the fan. There are 2 fans in a desktop, you are all aware of that. There is a one fan and heat sink which just sits right at the top of the processor. The other fan is very close to this, okay. Now the second fan, that is the fan which is dedicated to the processor, will turn on only after it reaches certain degrees. You can hear that, okay. When you initially start working, it will not turn on. After it has when you are running several programs, when so many windows are active and the outside is also hot, after some time it will turn on, okay. Now if you can consider this problem, you can consider it as a CFD problem. You can model the whole thing in Gambit, go to Fluent and find out the temperature for a particular arrangement of components. Now if there are 10 components, there are million ways of arranging this. Each time you have to have a solid model, you have to mesh it, get the converge solution and look at the temperatures, maximum temperature in the system. How many times you will have to do this? Is it possible to optimize like that? So it is not a very complex system. It is after all only a desktop. We are not talking about optimizing a data center or a big cluster of so many computers, okay. So design of complex systems requires large calculations for repetitively for various combinations of the design variables. But fortunately during the last 40 years we have seen really big improvements in computers and computations. So in order to give you a sneak peek into what I am saying, I can arbitrarily choose a set of combination of these variables. Instead of doing it a million times, I will do it only 100 times, okay. I can parallelize it for 100 various combinations of the variables. I will fire multiple jobs, okay. Suppose I get the results at the end of 2 months or 3 months. Now I will use what is called an artificial neural network, okay, which will give a correlation between the positions of the various components and the maximum temperature, okay. And now out of the 100 cases, I will use 80 or 90 cases to come up with the neural network, and the remaining 10 cases I will use the 10 cases to test whether my neural network model gives me the right temperatures for the chosen set of variables. Now if that model is working fine, now I will ditch the Fluent model and then I will repetitively run the neural network model for various positions. Then I will draw a graph and find out where it is maximum and I will finish the job. All these things were not possible 40 years back. First Fluent was not there, you had to write programs for doing the CFD, and I wrote one CFD program and got a PhD 16 years back. Now you can't do that because now it is all standardized, right. So now powerful computers are available, CFD packages are available, neural network is there, and then several optimization tools are available. So it is possible to do today. Therefore if you just solve a CFD or heat transfer problem today, it is no good. If you solve a 3-dimensional CFD problem or heat transfer problem 20 years back, you are considered a stud. So that is the state of affairs. The computers of today can perform exceedingly complex calculations and can process large amounts of data very efficiently. Engineering design has indeed benefited greatly from this revolution. Better systems can now be designed by analyzing various options in a short time. I just gave you a quick example of this, how better systems can be designed. This is one possible approach, but sometimes the neural network will fail, it will not work, you have to use some other options and so on. But it is possible for you, to attempt earnestly, okay. Now we see that you can see that the desktops and laptops of today are far superior compared to those in the past, and they also cost lower. So I just read a news item that the sale of desktops in India is dramatically exponentially falling. The sale of laptops is exponentially increasing, because you carry your work, you carry your data, you carry your trash, whatever, you carry that with you everywhere. So that possibility is there in a laptop, that possibility does not exist in a desktop. Now you have i5, right, you have i5, i6 Pro. My students are running the Fluent program on their laptops, they are running pretty fast, okay. Okay. Now we look at design analysis through flow chart. See these whatever I am teaching is considered as a necessary evil, in the sense that when you go through a course on design and optimization, you have to know all this, but it is not possible for me to ask any questions on what I am teaching today, but we will have to go through this rigmarole. Okay, let us start. You start from somewhere? Yeah, no, you start only from this place. Now first you have to define a need or an opportunity. You have to define a need or an opportunity. I will explain this to you in a while. Now you have to specify the criteria. I will explain each of these a little later, but now I want to go through this very quickly. So define need or opportunity, specify criteria for success, determine the probability of success. If it's a high probability, you go ahead with other things, otherwise you drop. High probability, you first do what is called a market analysis to find out whether what you are designing and developing will eventually have a market or not. Then you go through a product PD, okay, product design. PD guys are here? Okay. So product or system design, and then work out the cost estimates. Then you go through a feasibility study. If even at this stage it is not feasible, feasibility study is a techno-economic feasibility study. Okay, it should be technically feasible and economically viable also. If it is not feasible, you drop it. If it is feasible, because 20-30 years back desalination used to be technically feasible, but economically it was so unviable for a developing country like ours. But now we have put up a big plant in Chennai, you know, last week it was inaugurated. Now India is also becoming rich, we are able to use this technology. Saudi Arabia has been having it for the last 30-40 years, okay, big desalination plants. Now if it is feasible, then you can go ahead and either finalize, or if you want to fine tune your design, refine and revise, it goes through R&D, and this loop gets completed. Right? Now this flow chart typically shows the typical steps followed in the conception, evaluation and execution of a plan of an engineering undertaking. The rectangular boxes indicate actions, and each of these may represent considerable effort, time and expenditure in the case of large projects. So the diamond boxes represent decisions whether to continue. For example, after listening to this lecture, you may want to, whether you want to drop this course or retain this. You still have time till 15th. Huh? When is the last date for dropping?
Monday.
Okay. So that is a decision, diamond box or decision, whether you want, whether go or no go, yes or no. Engineering mostly consists in activities indicated in blue. I think there is a problem with the color. Engineering design means product or system design, R&D, right? So most of this. For example, this market analysis and other things, all these things are usually not considered part of engineering. So research and development, here there should be something, right? I have a problem. I have to go here. So all these are considered as engineering. Okay, these things are not considered generally as part of engineering. System design anyway will be studied in detail along in this course along with optimization. Therefore, for the next 20 minutes I will focus on the other things which are not considered part of engineering, because we are not going to consider this again in this course. The other individual non-design activities that find a place in the flow chart are basically needs analysis. First you have to do a needs analysis. Engineers are concerned with the application of technology to satisfy human needs, that I have already told you. So the essence of engineering is characterized by the design process where resources are transformed into needed systems. Stating the need is not always so straightforward. For example, transformation starts with the recognition of some need. First you have to identify a need. So the device or whatever you have in mind may be simple or exceedingly complex. For example, you want to join sheets of paper, you can come out with various options. I already told you this example. It can be a stapler, okay, you can have a punch, you can punch a hole and then put a tag, you can bind, there are various things. Now for example, let us take something exceedingly complex, to transport people from their homes to their places of work. What could be the solution? No, I am not talking about private cars or scooters, whatever, that anyway is a, suppose a government wants to do a solution, what?
Buses, trains.
Metro bus, sky rail, whatever, metro bus, sky rail. So there can be various options, okay, metro bus, metro rail, so MRTS, mass rapid transit system and so on. So this is, you state the, first you have to state the need. Many times stating the need is not so straightforward. Okay. For example, if you want to solve the water problem of a city like Chennai, some may propose that there is a need to enlarge one or more existing reservoirs. Okay. You desil them and make them more deep and let them store more water. So whenever there is rain in the northeast monsoon season during October, November and December, it can store more water, and so the need is to enlarge the reservoirs. But unfortunately, the way the need has been stated now is incorrect, because that is a solution. Sometimes if there are various possible solutions, sometimes incorrectly you state one of the solutions as the need. You can still solve the water problem of Chennai without enlarging the reservoirs, because there are other ways of doing it. You can do desalination, you can put a very high water tax which is exponentially increasing. Okay, so many liters a month, you have a water meter for every apartment, so many liters a month, it is this cost. When it increases, the next slab it will go 1.25 times, 1.5 times, 1.75 times, it can keep on increasing. That is one way of doing. Then you can have, you have a Krishna water project, right? You can get water from some other state, you can get water through pipes from some other reservoir. We had this project Veeranam Lake, desalination. So there are various ways of doing it. Okay. Therefore the need has to be stated, the need has to be stated in such a way that it is very broad, and the need should not be stated in such a way that some solutions are already precluded, that is, you already closed some options. That is incorrect way of stating the need. Okay. So the problem here is that actual need is not specified. Indeed, what has been specified is only a possible solution. Enlargement of the reservoir is one possible solution, but there could be other solutions, reduction of consumption, seeking other sources such as wells and so on. Sometimes possible solutions are precluded by not properly stating the need at the beginning. Okay, there is a difference between opportunity and need and all that. So your economics professors will teach you all that, principles of economics. Okay, opportunity, positive connotation, need such as a defensive action and all that. Let us not get into that. A new product is always considered an opportunity, but if a company does not expand its line of products, business is likely to decline. Okay. For example, geared scooters are fossilized now. Okay. You have the Bajaj scooter was very famous in the 80s. You have to wait for 6 months or 1 year to get a Bajaj scooter. Okay. Now the TVS started investing lots of money into their geared scooter called Spectra. Has anybody seen this? It came about 10-15 years back. So they invested a lot into R&D, and then they built up a division and all that, but geared scooters are vanishing from the market. What are you getting the point? They designed the best geared scooter, but by the time the geared scooter came, people did not want geared scooters. Okay. Therefore so that's called RG, right? So they are completely RG. Okay, so we have to keep our eyes and ears open and find out what is going on. Okay, let us not try to overdo something which is anyway going away. All right. So thus the introduction of a new product is also a need, but you have to be very watchful. Needs or opportunities sometimes lie in the renovation or expansion of facilities to manufacture or distribute a current product also. So you want, for example, there is heavy waiting time. There is heavy waiting time for Swift Desire and so on now. Right, Maruti can be very happy that people are waiting and all that, but it could be an opportunity. If somebody is able to make something which is similar, which is able to give in 1 or 2 months, people will go. Maruti cannot bask on its glory and say, oh, people are waiting for 1 year. We never know when people will ditch us. That is the first lesson you have to learn in life. Okay. So now is Manesar plant, they are going to run 3 shifts or whatever, and they will put one more plant, and if you watch, if you read the news and all that, they will try to capitalize on this. Now there is a premium on Swift Desire, okay, and Swift Desire, so they have to cash. That means they have to increase their production before people begin to realize that there are other products which will do equally well. Okay. Opportunity also arises when the sale of a product manufactured by competition is increasing and market conditions are favorable. This is the Ford Motor Company started in a big way in Chennai, in Maraimalai Nagar. most of its products were the utter disasters. The Ford Fusion disaster, then the Ford Escort, Ford Icon was alright, the Ford Fiesta was quite alright, but they realized that the money is not in those big cars, money is there in not in the sedans but in the hatchbacks, okay, sub 5 lakhs, less than 5 lakhs, and then they studied, they had all the time in the world to look at all the models of Tata Motors, Maruti, Hyundai and all that, and they come with the Ford Figo. Now it has already started with 25,000 bookings, right. It is it's just around 4 lakhs and it is very successful. The same company which cupped 10 years ago is now able to turn around and come out with a very successful product, okay. So you should also look at what, that is what we practice all the time in IIT, right. So you should also look at what your friends, what others are doing, and whether you are abreast, whether you are keeping yourself, whether you are aware of what others are doing and whether you are not losing out and all that. So that is what I have stated. Success of Ford Figo is one example. A new product may be developed intentionally or accidentally. I teach in ID 110 how the Velcro was figured out, right. Cockle burrs, that insects attached to the jeans, and then people figured out this Velcro. Velcro is used everywhere now, right. So then your Post-it, the Art Fry Post-it. The Post-it is basically, you know what I am talking about. The Post-it is a failed product, that adhesive, because it defies all the properties of conventional adhesive. Adhesive means Fevicol, so like this, but somebody figured out, somebody developed an adhesive which does not stick after some time, and some other scientist figured out, Art Fry figured out that if it does not stick for a long time, it can be used as a bookmark, because it can be removed without any trace of having used that. So it became a very successful office product, 3M, right. It is a very successful office product. So if you were to figure out something accidentally, it is called serendipity. It is there in the word list, right. Okay. Criteria of success. CGPA is one criteria of success, but CGPA may not be the sole criterion of success, okay. So in commercial organization, what is the criteria? The usual criterion of success is showing a profit, okay. Commercial enterprise means there should be a return on the investment. I put in so much of money, 100 rupees of money, at the end of the day how much do I get, or not at the end of the year or whatever. So as a fraction of how much I have invested, that percentage is called rate of return. It is put as a percentage. They will put various costs, inflation, this and all that. So the rate of return should be 15-20% whatever, right. But you will not get a return on a big project if you are coming out to the power plant. Can you start getting returns at the end of the first year? No, it will take time. At the end of 5 years, it will start that is called break even point. After you reach the break even point, what is your return on the investment? So this is a figure which all the commercial enterprises will look at, the return of investment, return on the investment, ROI, return on investment. In public projects, of course, suppose we are building a new terminal 3 in Delhi, or we are building a new flyover, what is the criterion of success? The criterion of success is the degree to which the need is satisfied, whether the people are happy with that. So sometimes it can become very subjective and qualitative. In a profit, however, in a profit and loss economy, the expected earning potential of a proposed commercial project exerts a lot of influence on the decision whether to go ahead with the project. However, these concerns are also tempered by human, social and political considerations to a greater or lesser degree, whether you want to have a dam over the Narmada, whether you want to have the Tehri Garhwal project, whether you want to stop the Alaknanda river in Uttaranchal or Uttarakhand. I mean, there are other considerations which will temper, which will temper your drive to keep the return on investment as the only criterion for success. However, in an emergency, decisions are based on reasons outside the realm of economics. Okay, that is clear to us. We want to declare war, no economics, whatever. Right. So, right. Now, if you look at, so this is basically return on investment as percentage as a probability. So, after preliminary design, you will have something like this. These are typical qualitative plots. After complete design, it may go like this, which means the variance is decreasing. The variance of the standard deviation is decreasing means if the standard deviation of a graph like this, probability versus the variable, is decreasing, that means your confidence increases. When you are able to draw something very sharp, that you are absolutely sure that mean plus or minus 3 sigma, 99% of the points are, there is a 99% chance that the return on investment will be x plus or minus 3 sigma, that is what you are saying. First it is very diffuse, then after construction it becomes better, after 1 year it is like this, after 5 years you have a good idea, assuming that the market does not change dramatically. So this is basically the probability distribution curve at various stages of decision making. Probability of success, the curves get sharper as we move from preliminary design to complete design to construction. After 1 year it is sharper, after 5 years the rate of return is known exactly, and the probability distribution curve degenerates into curve that is infinitesimally thin and infinitely high. What is it? It becomes like a Dirac delta. Okay. But the prediction of a future behavior is not deterministic, so you have to factor in various things. Okay, future market conditions, the cost, the inflation associated with this, and the fluctuation in interest rates and all that. Therefore, you have to, so the design will change from a deterministic design to a probabilistic design, a stochastic design. Stochastic design is now very much, stochastic design is very popular nowadays. For example, the fluctuations in the stock prices, the fluctuation in the stock prices of various companies, if you can take all these fluctuations to be a mean, u is equal to u bar plus u dash, v is equal to v bar plus v dash, w, I am talking 3 velocity components. So you can model it along the lines of a turbulent flow, and then you can come out with stochastic partial differential equations. So if you are a stud in turbulence, you can get a good job in Wall Street. I am not joking. They want people who are extremely good in partial differential equations, stochastic partial, because if you solve this system of, if you solve these equations, you will be a better equity analyst, you will become a good fund manager, or you will help fund managers. Okay, all this, business analytics, equity analyst, all those kinds of job now require mathematical finance. Okay, stochastic partial differential equations and all this, right. So there is a new trend even in design, stochastic design. I work a lot on stochastic optimization. Okay, neural network is one, genetic algorithm, ant colony optimization, swarm behavior, particle swarm optimization. In particle swarm optimization, when a swarm of birds is trying to catch food, then the probability of getting the food for these birds increases if all the birds stay closest to the leader. The leader is the one who is the closest to the food. You can work out all this, you can write equations for each of this, and people have modeled all this and they have applied it on a practical engineering problem. This is called PSO, particle swarm optimization. How ants, the foraging behavior of ants, how do ants, the behavior of ants in searching for food. When the ants go and search for food, and when they come back, after they eat the food and come back, they leave a trail of a chemical called pheromone. Okay, PHEROMONE. This pheromone concentration will of course be stronger if there is more food which is available from the place where it went, and this concentration will also exponentially decay with time. So the ants which follow this will look at the pheromone trail, and wherever the pheromone trail is wherever there is a pheromone concentration very weak, it will avoid that path. And even along the path where there is pheromone trail, even where there is a pheromone trail, if the signal is very feeble, it knows that his friend, his senior went to that place 2-3 days back, and there is a chance that by this time the food would have already got exhausted. So they are not taking 6280 or 11 introduction to finding food. They are not taking any course. Huh? No 101, no 110 courses. They are doing it all the time, man. So this is called biomimetics, mimicking biology in engineering, biomimetics or bioengineering. Okay. market analysis. A typical graph of sales volume versus price will be like this. This mouse is will be like this. So you will expect that as the price increases, sales will decrease. Is it always true?
Demand.
Can you tell me some goods which will defy this? Gold. Gold will have an opposite trend, because when the gold price increases, you get more scared that it will rise further, and then you will go and buy, and then that will cause a demand, that will cause a short supply, and then it will increase. Okay, so vanity goods have that. Some goods, the Hindu newspaper, coffee, tea. Of course, Hindu newspaper we cannot say market conditions have changed. Now Times of India has come, so there will be some disturbance. But morning you want newspaper, morning you want coffee and all. Unless and until the coffee becomes twice as expensive as tea or something, then you will consider switching to. Okay, so there is a possibility that the consumption of tea will increase when the price of coffee increases. That is called. Nobody has studied economics. So that is called cross elasticity of demand. Okay, for example, how do you draw this? Try increasing upwards. Okay, so this is one possible curve. Now there are you got a bunch of lines. Here you got high sales and advertising effect. So even if the curve has a trend like this, you can keep on advertising and make people remember your brand and increase it. But after some time, the return on this advertising effort will decrease. Okay, so that is called the law of diminishing marginal utility. That is, what is the satisfaction you get by having repeated quantities of the same thing. For example, you like Kaju Katli very much. First you take, very good. Second, third, and fourth, fifth. After some time, then if you take, you will start vomiting. Or apple, you like apples. First apple, second apple. After some time, you don't want to go near apple for the next 1 week. So that is a law of diminishing marginal utility. For example, it is applicable for. So suppose you get a salary of X rupees, right? If it keeps on increasing, for example, if somebody gets 30,000 or 40,000 a month, the first 10,000 rupees will be very critical because it will satisfy his basic needs. Then it will satisfy his secondary needs. The last 10,000 generally will spend on things which are not important. Suppose from 40,000 it becomes another 70,000. The last 30,000 will go to completely irrelevant things and so on. So the marginal utility in your salary into bunches of 10,000 each, the value of the first 10,000 is very critical. You will go and buy provision, you will pay your electric bill, you will pay your telephone bill. The value of the first 10,000 is, it has the same 10,000, the first 10,000 has got a high utility, the last 10,000 has got very poor utility. Okay, so the marginal, that is called the marginal utility, same 10,000, it depends on the context. All right. Now elasticity of demand. Okay. you can write it like this. If you start using equations in economics, then you are a microeconomist. Okay, there are two bunches of economists, one who don't know equations at all, the other who specialize in equations. The guys who specialize in equations are the micro economists. All right. Now, feasibility, the feasibility study, you got the next class? Yeah, I will try to finish this. The feasibility study is to enable one to make a decision on whether a project is feasible or not. Also, some projects may be technically feasible but economically unviable. Even if it is technically feasible, we have to drop it. The Concorde supersonic flight, it is technically feasible, but now it is economically not viable. No supersonic flights now. All the flights are even A380 is 0.9 Mach number. It is still a transonic flight. If a project is found to be infeasible, alternatives must be found or drop the project. R&D. So the results from research and development may be an important input to the decision process for an organization. Research efforts may provide the origin or the improvement of a basic idea, and development means you make a pilot study. Okay, there is a difference between research and development, right? It is first research and then development, and then you transform it into a product. So depending on the, so you just look at working models or a pilot plan, that is development work, and the idea need not necessarily originate within the organization. You can also use your rivals or idea of the rivals or competition. When you go to big companies, I went to Schneider Electric in Bangalore. They had some problem, we want to do some consultancy and so on. So they took us to the lab. They make the big circuit breakers for power plants, right? They have big circuit breakers, all big switches. Okay, in their labs they have a full circuit breaker of Siemens, and they are studying the performance of the Siemens. So RG is there everywhere, man. So I was very happy. I told them, this is Siemens. No sir, we want to study how it, no, you are in the market for so many years. No, but we want to, if there are some good features in that product, we will adopt it. Okay, so I think if you go to the Maruti factory R&D, you can see i10, i20, Ford Figo, everything there. So that is a way. So the idea may come from outside the organization also. Iterations. The loop in the flow chart emphasizes that the decision making process involves many iterations. Each pass through the flow chart improves the amount and the quality of information. What is flowing through in the flow chart is basically information, and the information gets refined. After it go through sufficient iterations, you are confident, you stop the process and take a decision whether to go ahead with the project or not. This is basically the anatomy and the morphology and physiology of design. Okay, eventually a point is reached where final decisions are made regarding the design, production and marketing. The substance that circulates through this flow chart is information. This information could be in the form of reports, conversations, emails, whatever. Optimization. There is no optimization in this flow chart. Okay, the flow chart ends with the construction and beginning or the beginning of a manufacture of a product, then you manufacture it, allow it to run. Now, this is the conventional design. The original design was based on some parameters, but during the operation of a plant many parameters will change. Therefore, the next challenge would be to operate the plant in the best possible manner, but I think that this is not the best way to do an optimum design. Okay, because I took this material, I have to acknowledge that this first lecture is based on the book by Stoiker, which is one of the references given to you. I think optimization should be integral with the design itself. Here he has left it with design, I have just taken it, and he has said that after it starts working you can look at optimization. But now with all finite element models and all that, it is possible for you to look at various options without having to build models, right, without having to build prototypes. You can do your Pro E or what is it, Pro E, you can do solid model, and then you can analyze and then find out whether the stresses are okay and all that, and then you can do what is called a virtual design, right, you can do a virtual design and then pick and choose the best one. Okay, engineering design versus analysis. We will stop with this.